Hello, 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 ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to what is already our seventh sourcing webinar in our webinar series, The Power of Sourcing. My name is Adrian Kolf, and I'm the co-founder and CEO of Matchr, co-founder of Pantala, investor, public speaker, but most importantly, I am your co-host of today because we have Victor and Andrew in the back, and we got two more people that are going to come on stage today. And before I announce our speaker and our sponsor of today, let me tell you a little bit more about what we do with Matchr, because with Matchr, we provide embedded talent teams to fast-growing companies. We work for companies like TikTok, Booking, Stripe, Revolut, Miro, and Grammarly, but also for smaller startups that don't have any recruitment capabilities. Companies like to work with us because they pay a fixed fee per resource per month, and we can scale up and scale down based on your hiring needs. So if you or anyone that you know is hiring, could use some temporary or some long-term support, please let us know because we would love to get in touch with you. Now, if you don't follow us yet, please do so on LinkedIn or on YouTube. And if you have any questions, please type them in the chat because we want to try to make this as interactive as possible. Guys, we started 1 or 2 minutes late, which is unusual, but the reason for this is that our keynote speaker, Dima, the head of sourcing at Matchr, is actually living in Ukraine. And as you are aware of it, Ukraine currently is at war with Russia, and he all of a sudden experienced a complete power out 20 minutes before the start of the webinar. Luckily, I just got a sign that Dima has been able to make it. So I'm very glad that Dima is able to speak to everyone in front of you guys. So I would love to welcome both Dima and our sponsor of today, Anna, on stage of OfferZen. Woohoo! Hey guys.
Hi.
Hey Dima, so glad that you were able to make it. How are you okay? Is everything set?
Yeah, hello. I just set up everything, my lights, my backup internet, so hope everything would be fine. So if it will be freezing, just let me know in any moment. I will try to reconnect to backup line.
Awesome. And I think if there's one thing that you've learned to deal with unknown situations during the war in Ukraine, and it's pretty phenomenal that we are able to have this webinar considering everything that's going on. Dima, before I get back to you, Anna, so grateful and happy that you're with us today. Anna is the head of brand of OfferZen, our sponsor of today. And you're in South Africa, right?
Yes, I am.
And one of the things that I happen to know is that you guys deal with power outs all the time, right?
We do for other reasons, but yes, absolutely.
Yeah. So glad that we have 3 nationalities and 3 different continents today in the call. Dean, before I go to you, I would love to give Anne the opportunity to tell a little bit more about OfferZen and the amazing things that you guys do.
Thanks so much. Hi, everybody. So I'm Anna. I'm the head of brand of OfferZen. And thanks for having me. And thanks for Matchr, obviously, for running this event. I'm going to tell you a little bit about OfferZen. So we are a community-driven developer job marketplace. We believe that software really has the power to be the primary global economic driver for a long time to come. We believe that great developers are everywhere. We also know that sourcing the right developers for your roles is really, really hard. That's why our mission is to connect every developer with opportunities to build an awesome future. So opportunities like the roles that you have on offer, right? And we do that by running a developer job marketplace. We've been doing this since 2016. We are founded by the software developers. We are still run by software developers. And for you, what we can do is we've been working with thousands of software developers and companies across Europe and South Africa for the past years, and we're learning every day by working with people what software developers want, what they care about, what also obviously you or the software developers are struggling with, so it helps us really match both sides. To sourcing teams like you, we're a tool that helps elevate their efforts, make them more efficient by providing hard-to-find developers that are ready to interview right now. a faster, better hiring experience, and the support to making informed decisions with industry data. I really believe that we are able to do this at a pretty high quality because we are so developer focused. Our business is very community focused, and the reason for that is that the tech industry is super community focused, right? There's like this really, really strong community behind the tech industry that is very engaged and very, very smart. And we actually invest the revenue of our job platform back into the community. So we go to extreme length over many, many years to engage with developers, collaborate, to build in the community. And that looks something like this. We are running annual data reports. We have an editorial writing service. We run events. We speak at events. We support and sponsor events. We have a lot of like developer swag that the devs really love because we kind of know what they want. And people come to the events and engage with them, and they get really excited about the things that we are co-creating with them because there's this intrinsic trust, I guess, that we're doing it for the greater good of the community, right? So to quantify that a little bit, in the past year alone, so last year for our annual survey, we got over 5,000 survey respondents across Europe and South Africa. We published over 100 different pieces, like from guides to data articles and whatnot that are very developer focused. We have at any given point really 20 and more collaborators, so people that are writing with our editors. They're writing content for other developers, for the community, helping them understand what it's like to be a developer. And, you know, one thing I also want to highlight is, like, for example, last year alone, we've sponsored 100 community events, and we were at more than 100 events ourselves. So actual authors and people went to events, engaged with software developers, again, also to learn kind of what is happening in the industry, what developers care about, what they're kind of experiencing. Why am I saying this? We are building essentially these relationships with developers over many, many, many interactions over the years, right? And that is kind of why they end up choosing to find the next job with us, right? Yeah, that is kind of my quick introduction for you. We have a quick swag giveaway for you. If you want to, because I've spent quite a lot of time to kind of like rev up the swag and the community efforts that we're making. If you would also like to get some swag, scan the QR code, complete the form, and our swag fairies will let you know if you're among the lucky winners. Thank you.
Anna, thank you so much. And honestly, awesome presentation. Every time that I see something from you guys, I'm always impressed with the branding, how cool everything looks, but especially the great work that you guys do in terms of building out communities and also helping us create a community by sponsoring this event. So thank you so much.
Thanks so much for having me.
Dean, are you ready? Everything's set? We've worked through many ups and downs, so grateful for you to be here. So Dean, the floor is all yours.
Okay, so we can start with our great presentation on how not to build a modern sourcing team and my 7 key learnings and mistakes. So today, I really want to share with you more on strategic and leadership session about how we build sourcing team and what things you can like really do to avoid such mistakes. For example, I did building the team, and I really want to share with you some of the stories. So in general about me, you already read this in introduction. I'm head of sourcing at Matchr. I worked here for 3 years, and generally I worked for 9 years in sourcing with different product and agency background, and I worked in really a lot of like different environments, especially with scale ups like Molly, Booking, GoCheck, Canva, and there is the companies that has sourcing as their core, and I'm also really enjoy solving puzzles, share a lot of like sharing is caring, so sharing on conferences, and right now I'm really like to talk about leadership, automations, outreach. So yeah, that's about me, and I live in Kiev, so I really encourage you to stand with Ukraine. Thanks for support, for your donations, and really whole world really helps us to stand and fight. So I want to start my presentation with a team. So generally it's some of our team members on a Zoom meeting, the thing you usually see right now at in modern days. So to be honest, this is something very usual for you, and that's not all sourcers, but there are my some of my lovely sourcers, and all stories starts with why like we need sourcing team. So maybe you can write in chat that like if you have full scale sourcing team, or you have just couple of sourcers. I'm really curious to see what your team, how it looks like, the structure. And I hope all people who participate in sourcing webinars, they know that the team, the sourcing team is a core part of modern recruitment and talent acquisition teams generally, because the best talents we know come from passive search, and expertise in different markets, research. This is a job where like during last decades, sourcers play key role. Also, sourcing team allows you to do a great cost reduction and really allows you to get more hires on board, and hires, it's the things that we really track, and that's something that the most important. And of course, sourcers are the people who develop your brand. So this is the first touch point with whom candidate gets introduced. So there is why sourcers, it's not like, as we can see, sourcer feed is much higher, and I can say that like it's higher than recruitment, but the sourcing function generally has some like key knowledge in finding passive candidates, working on like various social platforms, and like experimenting with smart outreach to candidates. And it's also the task that recruiters can do, but they don't have time for this and really deeper understanding of this. Of course, like there are a lot of things that sourcers and recruiters do together and different models, and we will of course discuss with you a little bit later these various models, but like in my opinion, that splitting these two functions and each of us focusing on their like area of like where they can influence, it really helps. For example, sourcer feed is very like analytical, technical. This is even reasonably introvert people who are very like result driven, target driven, and those are people who really enjoy spending time via computer and really finding all of the small details of the puzzle. So that is why it's so much important. I'm also interested to share with you that like our friend Balash presented like many years ago a great table about value of sourcing, and I really encourage you to go back if you haven't seen and see the Balázs session about future of sourcing in generally. And via the link on the SourceCon, you can find his great article on like how you should in your company calculate and justify whether you need sourcer or not. And using simple calculator, you can understand how many investment of the money could like really sourcing save you. And I really want to for you for next time, even tomorrow, to calculate what are the cost per hire you have. So for example, take like cost per hire divided by how many how much money you spent on agencies, on kind of internal hiring and also external hiring, including like agencies, third parties, instruments, and so on. And for example, calculate for last year. And you will see that if your cost per hire like rising year by year, if you spend like a lot of money on, for example, agencies on a model of no cure, no pay, and you have like really a lot of applicants, but you don't really source, all of these indicators will show you that you need a sourcer. And the beauty of sourcers are that you can really find different models. You can hire internal sourcer, you can hire external embedded support sourcer who can really build you all of these processes. But in any case, if you calculate your savings and like for your business, you will understand that probably at least 20%. So we did it with various clients, and at least 20%, from 20 to 100% of their overall talent acquisition budget, they can save by just utilizing sourcers in like really the way that I've shown you on previous slide. So like how I came to all of this in my sourcing career. So I started with like really before as a manager. I worked in different environments, in Relocate Me before, in a great company. But first project where I had team, it was 2 sourcers in Next Technology, Polish recruitment agency, and we had really, really like different model back that time. So we just started to like hiring outsourced team in Ukraine and work for different markets. We just trying to close all the possible roles. And yeah, there was not many structure. And back that time, I was a manager, just like, oh, I am a manager, I can do everything. So I will create career for my sourcers. And I created like Excel table with very great steps for my team and explaining them that you will earn each year 25 more cents per hour if you will work like that. And some students and colleagues that I was hiring, they were like, yeah, that's great plan, so let's do this. And of course, in long-term perspective, it was not working because sourcing was not considering as like really profession. So it was more like, oh, okay, it's some maybe part-time job for me, maybe some job that I can temporarily do for 4 hours per day. Next iteration was much more advanced, but yeah, I gathered experience. I understood that what I need to do, and what is most important in that my experience, I really understood how it's important to build connection with your team, how it's important to say them what are the expectations, where they should store the documentation. And I really started to think of all of the things like career for them. And I was explaining to the management in the company that it's very important to make sourcers feel that they have separate department, separate environment. Next, I was in function, and there we had smaller team, and it's already started to have some improvement, and like really it was clear mechanism, clear structure of how the processes was set up. And that model was like Swiss, for example, Swiss watch, because each sourcer has small area of responsibilities, but they were doing it very, very precisely. So for example, one sourcer was responsible for ATS, really sending all of the details of the candidates, updating, follow-up-in, engaging. Another sourcer was really expert in, for example, Ruby language in Eastern Europe, and only this was their specialization. And that's for small teams, it's really working well, because like when you really focus on small area, you can achieve a really big results in this area. But on the next level, when I joined Matchr, I understood that this is a small part missing in all of this story, from sourcers considered as juniors, sourcers as really specialized professional in some area. This, like in Matchr, it came to next level, because sourcer should have balance. So balance should be from really precise focus on your industry, but sourcers should have clear vision of the path they could go. So I mean that when you specialize in one thing, you can't like really grow step by step. And the beauty of Matchr and like agency background, that you can wear various hats in bigger organization, and you can really build and establish sourcing team with different departments, different managers, sub-managers, and tracks of your career. And there when I started to really think of like how we could build sourcing team, and how sourcing teams should work for various organizations. And like I was able to experiment, and I will share with you what experiments we had. So this path was not easy, and I prepared like anti-action plan for you. So 7 steps. If you do these mistakes, you will probably like be like me, and you will come to some great solution, because mistakes, it's also a learnings. But if you will listen to this presentation, you will just will like, if I would listen this in 2016, I would really grow much faster and like do a much bigger things. But hopefully you can like really establish great sourcing team today. So as you can see, this is our plan, and we will go one by one. And first is no career plan and structure of team development. As I mentioned, with Matchr, like before that, I had sourcing teams where there was not like clear plan where you can grow. Of course, you can be senior on title, but what does it mean? So there is no clear traction of what you will be do next year, what your team may look like. And so sourcer, to keep them in the team for at least 2, 3, 4 years, you need to give them the path and the vision of how it will evolve and develop. Also, you need to create really good structure so everyone understands what they should do, and that they are really trusted by company, and they have their place. Like recruiters, sourcers, and all of the departments has equal opportunities. So yeah, sometimes and as on this picture, sourcers may see themselves as like genius, and recruiters as like great consultants and advisors, and HR are like very people person, but each of us seeing like other departments in various ways. And I've heard from in my career that like sourcers are like maybe LinkedIn monkeys sometimes, maybe junior recruiters, HR something. So especially it's hard to explain what you do as a sourcer to, I don't know, to your parents or grandparents, or for example, some of your friends. But hopefully right now, like if I tell talent sourcer, sometimes even people like, oh, I know what you do. It's great profession. So not bad in 2023. And also, like, we should avoid having a flat career, so without any different options for them. And what we did right at the beginning of Matchr, it's we created first analyzed what team structure can be. In your company, you can choose either it's centralized, separated, or unified model, where centralized it's something like you have one or two sourcers for a bigger team of recruiters who really supports with hard to fill positions and only the roles that requires a lot of candidates. It may work, for example, if you work for big organization where a lot of applicants, well-known brand, and you just need interview, and there are some positions like executive positions or IT roles that you need to source. Separated model, it's like we have, or now I even call it like more of integrated model where we have equal big team of sourcers and recruiters who work together and who work in pairs or in bigger teams, working for the same roles, where have each of them have different responsibilities. And unified model is where sourcing is not even profession, but a kind of model of work skill where sourcers, recruiters, they all full stack people and do calls if needed, sourcing if needed. So it works for startups, for companies that are really small, and they just need 1-2 people who can do and cover everything. Yeah, so that's for startups at the beginning. In our team, for example, we have sourcers focused on market mapping, long listing, approach of the candidate, research, where recruiters do first screening, interview, and all of their different negotiations and candidate workflows. Also, you can choose your model of work, where sourcers and recruiters, as I mentioned, they could be full stack. Also, sourcers can be on backstage, where they just like provide you candidates, but not really talk to candidates. A relay race. So it's not on the picture, not recruiter who beaten sourcer for not giving us candidates. It's basically like relay race where you give some kind of relay to other person. So for example, if sourcer spoke to candidate, pre-screen them, and they find them interesting for this specific position, they can transfer this candidate to hiring manager or to recruiter. So it's mostly the way we see it in like scale ups. And slam dunk, where like each of the people are responsible for their candidate. So for example, sourcer may work directly with hiring manager and provide like and be responsible for their candidates even after press screen. So like they are very interested in communicating with candidates after press screen and doing even some further steps for them. But this model, this really not for like for us, not for agencies, for example, but more for internal companies, and it's not that popular right now. So career plan for and structure development of the team. So you need also separate and understand that if it's like agency, outstaffing, and product, more internal companies, it has own pros and cons where for sourcers to work in. So in outstaffs and agencies, you can have like high speed of work, high volumes, very competitive, but also like more challenging environment, more KPIs and SLA driven. Also usage of different tools, and you can have a lot of different titles. Again, you can have quicker career, bigger bonuses, but of course it causes more stress if, like, for example, your clients are changing from time to time and you need to really adapt quickly. In the same time, in product, you can have very brand focus. You can create long-term funnels. For example, you can work with one position for 1 year, and next year you can hire for the same position for retainers and so on. But it's a beauty of it that it's great. You can really know the market of the candidates and speak to them. But in the same time, one role for 2 years, for example, PHP in Amsterdam, if you're always searching for this, it can be challenging and you can get tired because of you just can't source more of them. You need new markets. And for sourcers, it's very important to have fresh markets to really do some volumes and to do some sourcing. And of course, stability and better access to hiring managers. But yeah, in right system, you can also have in agency environment access to hiring managers. Yeah, this is pros and cons. In our model, I also recommend you to first things that we started, we created like really different titles for sourcers. So it's like juniors, associates, middle, senior, lead, and sourcing manager. So it's quite huge career where you can have 6, 7 steps, and it really inspires people to grow within this career. But on last year, we even upscaled it to even to more advanced level, and we created like real individual contributor and people management track, where all sourcers start as a talent sourcer specialist, because first they get onboarded, they get trained, and really juniors should focus on their learnings, and they can become talent sourcer and start their career to talent sourcing specialist, senior, lead. And what is important, from lead level, our sourcers can choose what they want to specialize. Some people are more outgoing, really like to care about other people, help them solve their problems, while other people like more research, working with numbers, tables, and like numbers and data never lies. So they prefer working not with people, but with computer. And we give them this opportunity so they can do their impact in the company as individual contributors or as people managers, still working for our clients embeddedly and working for different products and companies. So it gives them chance to fulfill their ambitions. Also, we created a structure. So this is example of how you can evaluate your sourcers. So we had first very big different titles. First, our evaluation system was from 1 to 10, then from 1 to 5. But we understood that you should keep it simple. Don't overcomplicate it for your people, and just give it like level, above level, or below level. And people will know that if it's some skills that you need to train on level, so you just need to continue doing like that and improving. If it's above level, you did something extra. And if it's below level, we need to pay attention. And this is priority skill or responsibilities that you need to update during next review. We do reviews 3 times per year, and it's just enough to set up goals for people for some period of time and achieve them. Also, we have indicators in this table, which it's basically Coda platform. And in indicators, you need to find out what things are the most important for your sourcers. So choose like, should they source for IT roles? Should they know how to work with pivot tables, or should they be very much into account management? So pick 7, maximum 10 indicators and focus on them. It should be enough for you to start. Second, so we are finishing first problem, and I will speed up a little bit to explain you everything. Ask your questions. We will get through this in the end of the presentation. but in reality, just sum up of first block, build structure for your team, build gives them opportunity to see the career, to see the next years, and it will inspire them to work and create really simple but powerful evaluation form so we can track the progress over time. Second thing was messy styles, duplicates, documents. When we started, you can't imagine, like, it's basically me when we are like reviewing our documents and like writing a report about how many people wrote their reports for previous year's report. So we had a lot of documents in Google Sheets and also in ATS, and duplicating the candidates in Trello because it was better viewing of them. But we need, because Trello is not useful, we need to download it and store it in, I don't know, OneDrive as our archive. Of course, it's not possible to work like that. People will be tired, and it's the biggest problem that kills productivity. Messy files, a lot of different systems. You should pick up your tech stack first and stick to this. We find out that Google Spreadsheets and like connecting Google Drive, OneDrive is really not working fast. We need to have a platform. And the beauty of this is that this is not so many platforms to choose. So you can just go and choose Notion, Coda, or maybe Airtable. And you should understand those platforms, that it's really help you to structure all of your documents in one place. So you just create like one style of work. You create a guidance and folders. And for example, you can have a hiring folder, you can have your process folder, handbook, account management document, and some projects folder. That's it. And it will really help you to be able to share these documents, to not lost when someone enters the company or goes from the company. You can really control everything. And it's much more efficient than having some OneDrives or Google Drives and so on. We organized our intake forms, created different scorecards, recruitment process into the Coda file. And now all the team just has one clear structured view on how intake should look like, where we store the documents, and especially for us as like embedded partners for our clients, our companies that we are cooperating. We have clear vision. We have our file, client file, where we have all the rules, all the communication plans, and all of our people from like middle to very senior work in the same way. And as a manager, it really helps you to track all of the things. Also, organize your process. I really like, if you haven't done this before, write a plus in the chat if you have something like that, and minus if not, because you need to structure in any Lucid chart or any other program like that, how your process looks like. Visualize it, because when you visualize your process, you can really understand where you can improve. And if you have bigger team, bigger processes, you can get lost in all of these small steps. So we will visualize our process, and it's simple as that we start with kickoff and intake. We create sourcing strategy, sourcing map. We fill in this. Then we build our outreach strategy. We use LinkedIn, emails, email outreach, and we use, like, we have our sourcing strategy where we use Google Spreadsheets, Coda. We build booleans and work like that. So you can pick, like we did it. We pick the most senior sourcer in our team, Anna, and just ask her, like, hey, you are the most skilled sourcer. Please help us to just build the process. And you can do it inside your team as well. Ask the most senior person in your team to really draw how your process looks like, and you as a manager will see, or if you are this person, just draw this and present to your team, and just brainstorm where we can improve, what we can change, and establish really working scheme, how you can work and what resources to use. And of course, reporting, structure your reporting and things where you present your data, because it will help you to improve quarter by quarter. Okay, and organize your other processes. So as we mentioned and published last year, our handbook for all community, of course, it's our more like outbound handbook, but create your internal one and just present all of your services, your people operations, and try to explain people how the things in your team works. So it will create much more transparency and visibility inside your team. Also, as example, I mentioned that really spend some time. I know it may be a very complicated process. We spend so many hours on this, and like 4 people were really in our team working hard to make this happen, but created a organized process for documents, for market mapping, and as example of it, you can see that it's very structured, where you can understand what to do step by step. For example, for market mapping, for searching for donor companies, for university analysis. And if you write down your sourcing steps and your sourcing process, all of the next people who will be joining your team, they will be really working the same style and the same way, and you will avoid so many problems and so many mistakes in the future. If you like really did in details, write down like, okay, so what you do for market map, what you do for university analysis. It shouldn't be like super great big book, but just bullet points and steps basically for the work you do. So write down a scheme of what you're doing right now, and just write down this, and then update. You can start with very simple, like we started in our team first with just 1-page article, or mostly like an article size of the process, what we do. Okay, we have intake, sourcing strategy, sourcing on LinkedIn, reporting, that's it. And wrote short blog. And only after a year, we came to that we will update it, we will add more details, and then it started to be like our effective recruitment guide, right? So you can start also with simple thing. And organize your materials, your reporting. For example, if you're doing some researches on like salary levels or universities or any market intelligent data, start storing this into the separate folder. Because when in 1 year you will have to do another research, you will have to present some data, you will hardly find it. And if it will be in one folder, in one file, you will be able to really quickly find it and present to your team, to your managers, to your hiring managers and VP of the companies, like, okay, so this is the data for our competitors about salaries in different markets. So let's do some great job here. And of course, understand the need of your team, of your hiring managers. For example, how we work with roles. We create a folder, we update there all the necessary documents like intake forms, checklists, communication plan, and we allocate at least 3 hours to prepare the process. So allocate 3 hours, prepare the documentation, and then you will save like tens of hours by just working in one same format. So this is example of checklist we have. So you can just check this out and create checklist for yourself. What you do step by step, not to forget any step in your sourcing and recruitment process. This is, as I mentioned, communication plan. So plan some time and amount of time in your communication with your people to just with your hiring managers to just like have stable monthly and weekly check-ins to update them on progress. That's how we work. So, and that's what's important for sourcers also, to have opportunity to speak up and to share data. And it will help you as a manager to understand better what goes well, what goes wrong, and how sourcing can solve your problem. And of course, this is example, as I mentioned before, market volume. So we do a pre-screening of the market before intake. We write down all the data and we analyze then location, basic titles, number of candidates in each location, and present this during the kickoff. Like, hey, this is our market looks like. If we will use all of the keywords you, dear hiring manager, asked, we will have really low amount of candidates. If we will use broader search, we will have more candidates. So let's discuss with you what are the really must-have skills, because we should find more candidates. This is how we work with market research. Again, as I usually suggest on my presentations, that do some kind of experiment and pick randomly 10 pages of your search and try to open them and see how many people from these pages are relevant for you. So for example, if you will open from a search on 200 people, only 10 pages, and will like analyze like how many 100 profiles, not 2000, you will have understanding of how this search performs. And usually, even if you have the greatest Boolean, the most advanced Boolean written down, you will have only small amount of like percentage. In my results, it's from 13 to 25% of relevance. Because even with great Boolean, this is job hoppers, people with wrong titles, people who just switched the job, or people who have university as their years of experience, and that is why they're underqualified, and so on. So I found out that having experiment and real sourcing are have similar results. So even before approaching 1,000, 2,000, 3,000 search string, you can do quick check of how many profiles you will source. And then, for example, in this case, we did a big search for 200 candidates, and it gave us only 19% of relevant candidates. And when we did an experiment before, it was almost the same results with experiment. So I'm trying to say that, like, try to understand performance of your search by just opening 10 random pages and trying to analyze, okay, how many relevant profiles to open on this page and how many profiles I would really source and contact for the role. And write this down in such table. And in the end, you will have percentage of approximate number of people that will work in this search. So it helps you to explain your hiring managers that it's not 5,000, 10,000 of candidates on the market. It's only, I don't know, 200, 300. And we really need to focus on quality. This is like another example of how to store data. And this is an example of how we do our salary research. So I really encourage you to like focus on 3 resources: Glassdoor salary, Levels FYI, and TechPace you. So these websites pretty give you kind of numbers that you can use for your salary research. Okay, we are moving on, and like make your juniors feel lonely, no support. That's what I learned recently in my career for the last like 3 years, that if there's not clear onboarding, unrealistic targets, you are not able to find strong side of your people, they will leave or they will not grow as fast as you want. So try to avoid mistakes of like really invest in low amount of hours in people. So it should be invested at least 50 hours, minimum 20 sessions, where you just like pet, help, and like really help your colleagues, your more junior colleagues, to understand how your process works. So try to support your junior with great onboarding. So first thing we do in Matchr, when I joined, we prepared great onboarding. We iterated it, so it was first version, then I updated it to second version, and now we are working on version 3, because it should have really great amount of social activities, learning, training materials, and so on. So person feel really encouraged. And 40% of the success when person starts, it's onboarding. Also consider changing your one-on-one system. So if you still not have like clear checklist, template, agenda, and goals for your people, it decreases chances of like achieving high results. So just try to set up a Coda page. Just try to set up a Coda page and write your one-on-ones. Support your juniors with effective account management training, KPIs, diversity, and basically this is a skill set that you can develop. Use all possible tools and change them every month. That my anti-recommendation to you, because we started at Matchr changing 3 ATS, changing 7 outreach systems, and it was really hell for all of the people. So what I encourage you is to try to not have a lot of things, but stick to your tech stack. So choose one platform for outreach, couple of extensions for sourcing, for scraping, and that's it. So we created again our systems at 5 tools that connected together and work really well for us. Don't hesitate to experiment and change your tech stack, but of course it should be reasonable, and assign it to one senior colleagues, and that's it. Don't let your sourcers too much of like freedom, but then at the same time not micromanage. So give them just enough amount of control, because we had different stages of super micromanagement and really no control. So for you as a manager, it's always a balance of enough attention to people, but giving them the chance to shine and do the things their way, especially if you have structured system. So we have clear KPIs dashboard created by our operational manager, Sarah, who like really upscaled our previous Google spreadsheets that I prepared to really a model where each sourcer can log into the system and see their results, see their conversions, and do a good like job here. For example, we track source number, recruitment submits, client submits, hires, and client interviews. So I just encourage you to choose 5 metrics and stick to this all the year, and try to improve only 5 things, not 10 things, not 1 thing, just enough amount of tracking. This is more advanced system, as I like tables, but I will not stop for long here. Just it may be very advanced. You can track all the funnels, but start with metrics that I mentioned before, and then you can move to more of like higher level things. So our organized KPI system and like tracking system includes like expected number of activities, actions, your sourcing team performance, and what stops you from achieving targets. Ask these 5 questions during your one-on-one, and it will help you to track progress of your sourcer and give them accountability. Number 6, the pre-final one, hire without any plan. So that's something that we really found at the beginning and during our hyper growth stage 1.5 years ago, that if you start hiring just a lot of people without any plan, it really creates a mess and you're just not able to process everything. So what I did and what we really like did as a company, it's created more clear evaluation process for sourcing hiring. So try to like really automate everything with Calendly and Google Forms. Try to block only 2 interview slots per week for your sourcers. I know sourcers should interview sourcers to check their skills. Managers should interview their skills, but try to keep 2 to 3 interviews per week so people can do their job and help you. For example, people were helping me as a manager to interview people, evaluate them, and for example, 5 sourcers having 2 slots per week, I had 10 slots per week to interview, which is more than enough, right? So write down your process steps, reevaluate it. Does we really need optional final interview? Does we really need job sample? So challenge all of the steps, and if you find that all of them important, all of this like 5 or 6 steps, then keep it. But please don't overcomplicate it. Don't add additional steps if it's really don't need it. And evaluate people on their skills. So I created a full list of competencies for our sourcers, including like what they need to know, like market mapping, Booleans, researches, like what strategies they should use, what email style, and we marked it by points. So as you can see, I split it into like home task, how they did market map, how they did donor companies, how they do resources, how they design their overall strategy, what email style they have, how flexible they are, profile analysis, usage of main tools like GitHub, Stack Overflow, extensions, and I evaluated on points. So if person has and some things has, for example, fancy tools can have low amount of points, because what is more important for me, how person think, how they design their strategy. It's more important than knowing, for example, final outreach automation tool. So try to make it reasonable. And if people has like 30 points, of course, it's not good. If they had 60, 80, it's okay, we can consider hiring, and 90, superstar hiring right now. So just try to focus on some simple things that important for you as a company, as a like leaders. For me, for Matchr, it's important to have people who are result oriented, driven, analytical thinking. They really do teamwork and have good communication. And what is more important for sourcers, they should data driven, know good English. So these things are enough, and you will feel it during the conversation. You will see it in job sample, in evaluation, that people are just sourcer type of mindset, and they can work as a sourcers long time. And last but not least, look for a ways of your team growth. So previously, I was not paying attention of and like how to build a foundation for the team, how to like we were doing all of the same without trying something new, and it was hard to keep seniors. So in my previous experiences, it was really hard to engage senior people who know everything. And in Matchr, I just understood that a leader should establish the foundation of how we should grow. And for this, we created environment where sourcing is appreciated and where people can really have fun, not only to have like trainings and so on, but also have some great activities to fulfill their sourcing soul. For example, one of those activities may be sourcing jam session, where people just receive the role, receive the resources, and all the team of sourcing and recruiters can use their sourcing skills and find people in one project. So we name this project like this date, power hour, and like try to have quick intake for 15 minutes. And then all of the team via Zoom or just offline during 1 hour searching for 200 profiles. We set the target, we update this, and in the end we celebrate, okay, we found 200 people for this hard to fill role, and then person can outreach 200 people. We have brainstorm sessions, and one of those, for example, where we propose ideas on how, for example, improve our rejection rate, so every some set of period of time, we have our sourcers to add the things they stuck, and then we vote for this. And if the idea has a lot of votes, we then start a brainstorming session on that. We discuss and write down some outcomes of this. And maybe there would be some great sourcing ideas we could test. And focus time, it's something that we still experimenting and still searching how we can incorporate in the team. For example, working a pair of people can have a shadowing session where they work together on some role and just exchange some ideas in pairs. So it's like kind of pair programming, but in sourcing. And final one, continuous feedback and continuous learning for the team, like these power hour sessions for you for free, or sourcing summit, SourceCon. So give people opportunity to learn and like to have budgets on their sourcing knowledge. So celebrate success and their learnings, and then your sourcing team will evolve and bring you a lot of results. Okay, thanks for this. Sorry for a bit of overrun. Hope we have a couple of minutes for questions. And I hope my connection was stable. So yeah, connect with me on any network and we could just have a friendly chat.
Dima, awesome, good job. We lost you halfway in for like half an hour, but then
no way.
No, I'm kidding.
I can repeat from the beginning. Okay, first problem was, yeah.
No, phenomenal job. So much content and so rich. I really feel that a lot of people got a lot of value out of it. Guys, if you stick around, we're gonna do. We're overrunning, but if you stick around, we're gonna answer kind of like the questions that were asked in the chat, guys. So if you have any questions, please feel free. If you guys gotta run, you gotta run. That's absolutely no problem. Let's the question here that we have from Marvin. How much time do you typically allocate to research prior to a kickoff?
That's a good question. So we try to allocate. So usually we have 1 day before we research one position, and sourcer really spent the first day of work on organizing the documents, organizing the process, and really building all of the data. But from my experience, it's needed like up to 3 hours to really do quick booleans, to do market map, and to understand how many candidates we could source before kickoff. Then kickoff takes 1 hour, so don't do it for 30 minutes because you'll just not have enough time. Spend one full good hour with your hiring manager to understand the role details, to test and calibrate some of the candidates, and then maybe allocate another 3 to 4 hours to find first like 20 good profiles to show them to hiring manager. So in total, I would like rather not have like, okay, 3 hours. No, just spend one first day on market research, and it will save you a lot of like days in the future, because you will really understand everything. But minimum 3 hours before kickoff should be enough, at least to start with, right?
Yeah. Let me see. There was one more question. Oh yeah, it was a question, do we actually use Airtable?
We were tested it with our sourcers before. It has some advantages over Google Spreadsheet, like you can more data can be uploaded there without without like overwhelming the Google Sheet. Because if you, for example, have 2,000 rows in Google Spreadsheet, it becomes messy and not loading correctly or something like that.
Yeah.
But we were experimenting with Airtable. It's more a better tool, and I know Alla Pavlova, for example, using it a lot, and it gives you quite connection, so you can connect a couple of databases, so a couple of Airtables together. But yeah, we just started experimenting this, but then our operation manager Sarah just created things for Google Dashboard, or not like this, Google Dashboard,
Google Studio.
Locker Studio.
Yeah,
Locker Studio.
Yeah.
And now it solves the problem, but of course, you could experiment with different systems.
Yeah. Awesome. Dima, I think that's it. That's it in the chat. Dima, what's the best way for people to connect with you or to reach out to you if they have any questions?
I think for LinkedIn, just the best would be, but if I'm not replying it there for quite some time, maybe something happened and you can just reach out for me to what I gave to Telegram or Facebook. Yeah, should work.
Okay. Awesome. Dean, thank you so much. Honestly, the fact that you've been able to make it 20 minutes before the conversation, that your power was cut off, and you're still here, tremendous amount of value. And thank you for speaking today.
Yeah, thanks. And I was great, despite everything, to have this hour with you. So hope this helps, and enjoy your evening and get some fresh knowledge.
Awesome. All right, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for staying a little bit longer. We slightly overran, but if you have so much knowledge to share, then sometimes an hour is not enough. If you don't already, please follow us on LinkedIn and on YouTube, and subscribe to our newsletter to stay up to date of the latest information around sourcing and recruitment. And please join us next week for a very interesting session with Greg Hawkes. The Sourcing World Showcase, tools and resources to find job seekers globally. And trust me, Greg is a wizard. We're going to be in for a treat with Greg next week. Guys, thank you so much. Have a lovely rest of your morning, the rest of your afternoon, or have a good night. Thank you very much, and we will see you next week.